wait for some more members to just join. The stream is active or we are on, just check that.
1 second, I'll let you.
Is this on? We are good to go?
Yeah, 1 minute, Manjula.
Yeah. Whenever you're ready, just do let us know.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Manjula.
Awesome. Thanks, Prisha, for just doing that. Thank you so much. Awesome. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you all for the heroines setting the stage for corporate success. I am Manjula, your host today. So, we are here to celebrate as well as learn from incredible progress made by women in the IT sector. This series aims to inspire and empower you with insights from top leaders in our field. Last week, we are fortunate to have Sukanya Ramachandran of Wipro and Nilashish Kumar of Cisco. If you have really missed those sessions, please be sure to check out the recordings. They are full of wisdom and inspiration for all. We just got HR professional from the top industry to give us the gist of how do we think about creating space for more women. Today, we are excited to welcome Sridevi Edipukanti, Vice President of Azure Cloud Practice at Saxon AI. With over 25 plus years of experience, Sridevi has transformed global teams, driven technological advancement, and inspired many with her leadership. And we are going to witness her in a while. Sridevi's journey is truly inspiring. As the first woman hired in her organization as a DBA, I heard she was a 34th employee, where 33 of them are men DBA in her first assignment. She has also learned her first project management experience by leading 20 of the men. So that's going to be the incredible journey for us to learn more from her. Also, she got many Best Performer awards, close to among 3,000 plus members. She was literally becoming a role model for everybody. So, how is the inspiration came? I was just checking with her. She was just at the event with Kiran Bedi during 2003 Women's Day, and she became one of the role model to walk the talk of what she heard from Kiran Bedi. And that's not inspiring us today to welcome her. I'll just give you one more tip about it. She hasn't taken a sick day at all in the last 13 years. So that's going to be a one another interesting story for me to learn and listen how that journey has just happened. Thanks to her well-being commitment as well as a strong family support. Today, Sridevi is going to share insight about leadership, tech career, and well-being with us. Whether you're looking to advance your career or find personal growth, this session is surely going to be enriching and motivating. Please engage actively and ask your question. We are here to just help as much as possible with all the queries. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming the inspiring Sridevi Edipukanti. Thank you, Sridevi, for being with us today. And literally, we are looking forward to welcome you. Thank you for just joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Manjula. And it's my privilege to be part of this program. And thank you so much for the invitation. So it's been a great journey so far in the corporate industry. I've been hearing so many cases where people say that, oh my God, it's a tough journey, or it's been 10 years or 15 years or just 5 years, but so many years, so many more years to go further. How do we tackle the upcoming changes or with the emerging technologies? So these are few questions which I often get or come across from my peers or from my teammates or any other women employees, right? So so since this is about my journey, I will talk about some of the learnings from my side, because not everything is a smooth sailing boat. There is a roller coaster ride every now and then, and it is with the great resilience that brings our extra muscle, especially for women, to come out of those tough times and then solve the problem. Right. So broadly, because this is about the growth strategy that we discuss first. So for me, like always, I think of an umbrella, right? If you can visualize an umbrella. So it has a cover, right, on the top. So that is nothing but the three formula for me. This is the formula which I've not Googled anywhere. This is a formula that is proprietary to me. I would say this is derived out of my experience and then realization, right? Experience, and over that, then, it's a realization over the experience. So it is like, see, as long as we possess anybody, whether it is a man or a woman, as long as we possess these three qualities, and I'm sure the framework will automatically comes into our way, right? Comes into our decision making and all, right? So those three top layers we need to really think of whenever, on both, either on professional front or on a personal front, is that how do we think differently among so many other group of co-workers or in the workforce that we are part of, right? And how can we communicate effectively? And the third one is, how do we execute seamlessly, right? Think differently, communicate effectively, and execute seamlessly. So these are the three layers which forms the outside of the umbrella, upper portion of the umbrella, right? But in order to get there, in order to get it in a realistic sense, we need to have so many other small levers which we see in the bottom part of the umbrella, right? We hold it. We hold with a main umbrella rod, and that's not just the only rod, right? We see few more small threads which holds this entire umbrella very in a perfect shape, so that even if it is a big rain or a storm and all, it won't usually go off as easily as possible. So for me, the root system or the frameworks that we adapt to make it happen is also extremely important. So as long as whatever task we do, right, as long as we keep in mind these three aspects, then things will be simplified and we start thinking in that direction, right? So the first thing, right, if I say think differently, right? Now, usually all of us must have experienced the curiosity or various questions which surround with why, what, when, where, how, right? So our teachers used to say that, hey, just don't blindly believe whatever is being said, whatever you hear. Ask all these questions, and only when you get convinced, you go and experiment or execute it, right? So for everything, now if I say that think differently, right? So I say that when will you be able to think differently, right? It's only when you have time and energy, you'll be able to think differently. Because otherwise, if the mind is cluttered and if you're occupied with so many other things, your thinking ability might be dilutized. You won't be with your full potential, right? So if we think backwards, right, like think differently. Now the question is, when you will be able to, when you can invest time and energy, then only you'll be able to think differently, right? So now the question is, how can I get the time and energy? How can I get, because all of us have 24 hours time, right? So how do I derive energy? How do I derive more time? Because all the health experts, me being a wellness coach, I also emphasize that, hey, 7 to 8 hours of mandatory sleep which is so important for hormonal balance, which is so important for our regular well-being, right? So if we divide our entire routine into 8 hours, right? 8 hours work, 8 hours sleep, and 8 hours for different activities, then within those 8 hours itself, right? I mean, if I keep aside the sleeping hours and the working hours and the remaining 6 to 8 hours, whatever we have, how productively we will be able to manage the time, right? So for that, again, there are certain things which I have literally learned from Kiran Bedi when I have attended a session. It's truly inspirational, and it was such an influential lecture. So I'll tell you a funny thing, right? Way back, I used to always think of, okay, this is my take-home salary. How should I spend it? And of course, my husband and I, we used to even maintain a small diary. All right, daily expenses, how much more we have to, how much should go to savings account, everything and all. So even to spend some money on external services or the hiring, I mean, the domestic help, and also we used to really see we can share the workload and we can very well make it happen, all those things. But when the kids have arrived into our lives, again, the time, the productive or quality time that is spent with the kids is more important as well, right? So one thing which the takeaway from Kiran Bedi's thing is that, see, you have to invest your time on those things only which you should do, only which you are capable of doing. But all the mundane activities or the regular routine stuff, why can't you hire a domestic help? Take support from the family. That's when you can derive some time out of it, and you can invest that time in your reading, in your fitness, your wellness, and your quality time with your elders and kids. So from that time onwards, and she specifically also mentioned that 10 to 20% of your salary, think of, buying the more comfort and more time for you, rather, in the saving mode of those 10%, because the return of investment of those 10% spending on the domestic help will be multifold if you spend. So that's one. So if you continue to ask this question, right? So when you are focused, and when you are focused about your goal, and when you are away from these distractions, where most of us have been into a lot of social media, but the time that we spend, how much time we spend on the social media, and how much it is worth to spend on social media, it is a personal choice. But if you think it is a distraction, then definitely you need to give a second thought, right? And other thing, if you ask a question that when will you have more time and energy, is that when you have a larger purpose, and when you don't focus on the small problems on a day-to-day life. For example, someone else told something, or if the traffic is so much, or if there is something that your beloved might not have met the expectation of yours. A mother-in-law was saying something, mom said something, sister said something, friend said something. So these are all small things that should not be piled up in your mind, because always, if you have the bigger goal in front of you, all these things seem to be very funny. It should not really matter. So if you start thinking in that direction, let's say, for example, I have a very important customer meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I start from my home at 9 o'clock, and it's only half an hour drive to office. But in between, there is a small dent happened to my car, maybe because of a speed break. All of a sudden there is some other bike has hit. So if I lose my temper that time, that will impact my entire day, and especially my important meeting. So to which I should give weightage? Obviously to my customer meeting, right? Whatever happened, and I can't argue and spoil my mood and energy, right? So it's just one small thing that I have quoted an example. But like this, there's so many small things, difference of opinions and all, right? You just listen to them and then do accordingly what you think is right. You need not have to argue, get into argument, and get your cortisols raise up, get your stress levels raise up, which is neither good for your health nor good for your professional life. So I take everything very light, because I have a bigger purpose in my life, because it's just not over, right? And then other things, how can you create more time, is that, as I mentioned, hire services, and then take family support, if you have elders at home, you're blessed. You're truly blessed, right? All that they look for is a little amount of respect and small contribution from your end, right? As long as you give that respect and the contribution, you are blessed, and they will take care of your kids. They'll take care of your responsibilities and all, right? There are various ways, right? Whether it is a mom or a mom-in-law, father, father-in-law. If you are unconditionally love them, it will return to, in multifold. May not be immediately, but over a period of time, without any expectations. It's like good karma returns double the amount. And then share the workload among your family members. So I still remember during COVID time, when we didn't have a domestic support, we purchased all those online this dishwasher and robots to clean the house and all that. And I wrote all those 20 tasks that we are supposed to do on a paper, and across each task, how much time that will take, right? And it came up almost 4 hours of work. So if 4 hours of work is done by one person in the family, they'll become a patient. They lose the interest in life. They cannot be happy. So happy wife is happy life, right? Somewhere I read. So, and also that is a great time to inculcate the discipline in kids and also share and care the workload. So I divided, say that out of 20, pick and choose 5. You pick and choose 5, right? I'm not saying that these 5 you should do. So like that, during that entire 1 year, we could manage without the domestic help, but at the same time, everybody had got used to small tasks in the household. That's one. If you can't, this is one thing which I've learned, right? If you can't convince someone, or, in your talks on the air, just put it on the paper, put the data, pull the data points, and then put it on the paper, and then explain them the difficulty, explain them the actual reality, and then, what kind of help that is required and all, openly you can discuss. And also, most of the times we see that there won't be any meetings or gatherings or family discussions per se at home. But it's so important, like how we have so many project level discussions which happen at the office, everyday huddle, everyday stand-up meetings and all. I see a lot of difference of having a small 5-10 minute conversation among all 4 family members at some point, at some other time in a day, where all 4 of you there saying that, hey, what went well, what went wrong, what is that is the plan for the next day and all that. And some fun activities at home really helps for the family bond. And then other thing to save time and energy is how to say no to someone. It's also art of saying no, because a lot of folks hesitate to say no to some work. But again, here the takeaway is the follow that time and urgency metrics, right? Whatever is urgent, important, urgent, non-important, urgent, but not urgent, important, and not urgent and non-important, right? Accordingly, you do it, or you delegate it, or you reschedule it, or you delete it. You'll say no to non-urgent and non-important. Okay, so it's up to your discretion to really figure out which tasks are more important or top priority. And the way you say no matters, really, right? So these are some things which will help you to think, which will help you to derive some time and energy, and which will help you further to think differently. And then communicate effectively is other pillar of the umbrella, where, it's the body language matters, the written communication, the verbal communication. All these things really are important. The soft skills are so important. So every day investing some time, at least half an hour, on improvising the soft skills, develop the body language, is so important whenever you have to move up the ladder, right? And last but not the least is express gratitude. Unconditionally express the gratitude. Be empathetic. Be first humane characters, and empathetic to everybody, no matter whether he or she is your boss, or you're a team member, or any underprivileged people. But that will be one of the core traits of any employee, or whether it's a mid-management or a senior leadership. Expressing empathy and showing empathetic leadership is so important, right? And once you have all these things, right, like think differently, and then communicate effectively, and then execute seamlessly. And last but not the least is continuously do self-audit, right? Whatever I mentioned here, right? So it's like, am I thinking differently? how much time I have to upskill every day. Am I good in technical skills? Am I good in communication skills? What more I have to do in order to improve these skills? So every day do a self check and then plan accordingly. I can very well share various resources through which you can improvise and build the new skills. So these are certain things which I thought would be a great advantage to grow up in your career and be a constant learner and develop that intelligent quotient, emotional quotient, and spiritual quotient always. That will help a lot.
Thank you, Sridevi. Wow. Okay. So it's a non-stop. You just started and then gave that complete overview. I think our team should just take this as a one clip and give it to our community, saying that whatever you want to do, just listen to Sridevi's talk. It should just solve the problem. Thank you so much for giving the individual. That's where I was just talking to our internal team. You're going to see her just bubbling with the energy and sharing the things across everything. Thank you so much, Sridevi. It was a overwhelming, too much information, but it requires a patience for us to sit and take one after another and look into it, because what you shared is your life journey, what you're practicing daily basis, right? If this gives you the tremendous happiness and progress in life, it makes for us your 25 years of learnings to take it in a session to just do that. Thank you for sharing that. So let's just delve into the next segment, what we are talking, right? So one of that admiration, I was just looking at your profile when I was just seeing through. You started your journey as a DBA, right? We all know what was our DBA learner, right? We just started with DBase, Foxco, those kind of early days where we were just walking through what is DBA. It is not DBA, that's how we call that as a database. From there, what we are evolved is a one journey where we are going with the NoSQL, Mongo, whatever you're looking for without any structure. We are just going ahead to do that content part of it. That's one. But then when I look at your journey, you didn't started with DBA and then going with that. Your journey was just going in a different dimension. You started with the Satyam. Then I was just seeing you where you were moving to NTT. From there, you're just going to Saxon, again Microsoft. Again, you continuously take a steps to move one organization to another organization, which itself is a women tend to avoid. One organization happy, just go, then they take a break, they don't come back and they stick to that. That itself, I find it interesting where you took a progressive part of it where you do that. And second question, which is going to be followed with that, your learning, which I'll come back to that later. I wanted to talk about it in a detailed of it. First, tell us, how did you plan your progressive journey moving from one organization to another organization? Is it a conscious decision? If yes, what are the steps we need to follow that? Please let us know about it.
Sure. So my strong foundation happened at SQL Star International before even I joined Satyam as a consultant, technical consultant, where we used to take batches for the corporates and also the walk-in batches. So that's when it led a strong foundation, and it removed the stage fear, which I used to have 2 decades ago, right? But taking more than 30 batches, it's like it was like a great confidence, elevating levels of confidence. So when I know that I wanted to get into DBA and I want to get into projects at the same time, though I have passion towards technology, right? Or passion towards teaching. But when I got to know that at Satyam, they are hiring all the certified professionals, then already my motto is throughout, again, since you are asking, learn, explore, and share, innovate, right? So learn, explore, and share. So it's not something to show it to others, but it is to get convinced myself. I should get convinced that, hey, whatever is the new technology that has come into market, which is an emerging thing at this point of time, how much I'm capable of offering the solution to the customer. Is it like a superficial knowledge that I should say that enact as if I know everything, or I should definitely put 2 to 3 months in a year complete effort in order to gain that knowledge and be confident and be ready to answer any question that comes out from the customer or from anybody, right? Otherwise, every day it will be a turbulence in your life. But if you spend 2 months in a year where you get the expertise and then polish it every day, you will walk like a queen, right? Your confidence levels it's like it's skyrocketing, right? Like So that's a thing. So then when I stepped into Satyam, that's how I stepped into Satyam. But it was an awesome journey in Satyam, right? I spent almost 9 years in Satyam, but due to some, everybody knows, right? In 2009, there was a issue at the org level. Then all our projects have been given to some other organizations. That's when I moved into NTT Data, because few of our other colleagues also have moved, and we've been interviewed, and I've got into NTT Data. And at NTT Data also, I have worked for 10 years, right? So it's not a frequent hopping of the job, which is not a good sign at all, which is not at all a good sign, right? Being consistent in your work, and of course within the organization you change the projects so that you will learn new technology, you will be working with new set of people, you'll be working with new management, there'll be a lot of learning curve, right? So within the company, I would always advise every 2 years you change different projects. That's what I did in Satyam. I was with GE Power Systems, then I moved to GE Repair Commercials, then I moved to Cisco project, I moved to British Petroleum project. That's when I got an opportunity as a technical project manager, leading the 20 men, my first project management, right? So, but consciously you be proactive when whatever role you're playing, don't just stick to that role, right? Title is just forget about title when you are in a particular role. Don't think of title much, right? But you start performing your activities and think beyond. That's what I say, think differently, right? So think differently in the sense, let's say when you're executing working in a project, then you also can contribute to knowledge sharing with other teams. You also can come up with a manual. You also can come up with best practices documentation and share it across the industry, across the org, across the different units and all, right? Without anticipating any anything in return, but selflessly you really contribute towards the well-being of employee well-being. Majority, later point, I got to know that when I have been given an opportunity as a project manager for British Petroleum project, that to a big team of 21 guys. Then I asked practice head that, hey, I don't have any project management experience. Neither I did any MBA at that point, right? Then how would I do justice? But then the practice had mentioned one thing, that the way you're proactive, we have heard a lot. The way you help others, we have heard a lot, right? And the kind of the critical thinking you have, we have experienced that. And the empathetic leadership, empathetic behavior that you have, we have acknowledged it. So what more is required to be a technical project manager, right? It has to be an internal stakeholder, maintaining good relation with the internal stakeholders, being empathetic with the employees, and already you are technically very good. And I'm sure you'll be able to deal with it. And thankfully, like my team was great. So I had a great time. So post which, like when after working for 10 years in NTT Data, I wanted to move into more towards AWS and Azure, which was not that much happening there at that time. Maybe if I have waited for a couple of more years, it would have happened. But time is very crucial. So that's when, I got an opportunity to build a cloud practice at Saxon. I moved to Saxon. And then while working at Saxon and Sunera, then I got a call from Microsoft. And that's when there were a series of interviews that have happened. And then I became a part of Microsoft. And a lot of learning all through, actually.
Awesome. It's just amazing, right? So it is about being helpful, being learner, being empathetic, or where the ingredients which constantly helping you to just move from one place to another, where people are ready to hold your hand and take you. There is nothing that you're just seeing as a gender over here. That's what I'm seeing. You just been as a first employee with 33 DBAs. You were there, and you were also leading a 20-men team as a project management experience. But the quality what you possess is just keeps shifting from one place to another automatically, right? But having said that, I also was going through the profile, and it was, while this is true, right? The way you're learning you were doing is also incredible, Sridevi, right? I did see that where you started with the database, so you just started getting into OCP. Suddenly, I'm guessing the way you're talking about, probably your project requires a Teradata. Again, I did see one certification over there, which you were just doing it. Again, while I'm just talking to you, the moment you have just become a project manager, taking the PMP and the process comes idle. So I do see that wherever you just do the going over there, your certification becomes a credential way to project yourself where you're also capable and competent of doing that part of it. Tell us, your certification is a one journey. The other journey is not just the certification, and you are taking up the course with the ISB, which is your
Yeah.
8 of a grill of your CTO session where you are just doing. It's not something you have a laid back work lifestyle. You are also pressured with your delivery, and you're also doing that. Now you have subscribed for your AI learning. That's
Yeah.
something amazing where I wanted to hear from you what gives you the clarity. I need to do this, and if yes, how do you plan and execute and take it to a closure? Give us that insights.
Yeah. Great question, Manjula. So first of all, see, in order to survive in IT industry and in order to maintain that sustainability, learning is inevitable, right? At Microsoft, we learned one strong formula, right? Don't think, don't, what is that? Celebrate the past glory all the time, right? It's that learning. It should not be that I know it all. It's like learn it all, right? It's a constant learning that has been part and parcel of my entire 25 years of journey. Because see, one thing is that as if you see from the beginning, my goal is to get into a CXO level, right? Even before, now I'm playing the role of a vice president directly reporting to my CEO. But, so in order to get that, I need to lead by example. That's the first thing. Whether as a parent or a manager or a leader, I need to lead by example. I believe in leading by example because that's what I have seen my mentors, my managers, so-called at that time, that see, if I ask my team to do, hey, you should do these certifications in order to deliver, more productively. First, I should be able to know when I'm leading a team. I should be aware of what's happening in that technology. Otherwise, it's just like a very empty full leadership. I would say it is an empty full leadership, just saying that you should do that, you should do that. Those days were gone. If a team gets stuck, a leader should be able to help him or her. They should sit next to them and should be able to help in coding. They should be able to help in, if the server is down, they should be able to help in making the server up instead of putting a blame game on the employee. Right. So first, I need to lead by example. For that, I should be convinced. It's for me actually. You would say, as I mentioned, I don't do. It's not for showcasing it to everybody. If inner soul has to be convinced. For that, I always embrace the technologies which are required at that particular point of time, right? And also, I would urge all the audience, whoever are in the IT field, especially women employees or men employees, that look at the job descriptions in LinkedIn. Look at the job postings in LinkedIn. Earlier years, it was that they used to say that only Oracle database administrator, 5+ years of experience, must to have, good to have our certification. Look at the job description. There's so many criteria. People should know Java, Angular, all those languages. People should know cloud. People should know AI. People should know analytics. So much, right? The job description will go for 3-4 pages, right? And it's very difficult. I don't think anybody would meet 100% of required job description, but at least make an attempt to meet 80%. Have built the primary skill of your own, right? Rock solid primary skill, but build the peripheral skills. We say that management 101, marketing 101, sales 101, and other technologies. Let's say my primary competency is cloud technologies, right? But I need to build the peripheral technologies as well at least 101 level, analytics, AI, ML, and then you see cybersecurity. Okay, you see that mobile technologies, you see social technologies and blockchain. So there are so many emerging tech, metaverse. So at least little knowledge. And Udemy, there are so many. We are so blessed to have so much of online courses. Like you have Udemy, you have Simplilearn, you have Coursera, Pluralsight, K21 Academy. You need to invest some amount, some of your salary or some amount, and also energy and time. Weekends, 2 days off for we are lucky that 2 days off for corporates, and I spend at least 2 to 4 hours every weekend. I spend that time, and every day at least for half an hour to 1 hour I spend. No big secret. That is doable because I'm delegating my task to my domestic help. I don't spend more than 1 hour in a kitchen at my home. And so whatever time I have, I always keep my headphones on when whatever little cooking I do at home, any small household activities and all, always the headset is on. It's not just only the technical, so need of the hour, right? That day, whatever I feel like listening, right? Whether it's interviews with CXOs, whether it is something Wall Street Journal related topics or McKinsey topic or Gartner's analysis, that it is something which is more relevant, or it is just music. Maybe someday I may not just want to listen to any podcast. I may want to just listen to, but always, those 1-2 hours of while driving or while cooking, while I'm at home, always my headset is on, listening to some very important topics which matters to me most. That's mainly the zeal. So to answer to your question, that when I'm leading a team, I should set an example. I should lead by example. That's the main reason. First, I should be convinced. So I go on, and even at the age of 60, you may see me learning.
Awesome. Amazing. That's what I just happy about it. The inspiration and the vibe you bring and give the tips. It's something amazing where 1 hour in a kitchen itself is a bigger task for me. I don't just do that. Rest of them, the help handles it, which is a good takeaway for every woman to put it into the practice. If they just keep house chores is for an hour only, rest of the hours they get it for themselves. How do we make whether they can able to afford or not able to afford is a secondary question. Again, we don't need to get into the money part of it. As you rightly said, that creating the help system, maybe with family members, is another way to just get into that. Thank you for wonderful sharing, Sridevi. I'm also getting a couple of questions from the community. Let's just also talk about it while we are just pitching into that what we are talking about. So there is a question: how can we learn technical skills or concept if we are from non-technical background? Probably I'll just add, it's just not even non-technical. If I'm from one tech background, another technology itself is overwhelming. Forget about I am tech or a non-tech. I'm from someone and wanted to just learn about cloud and AI. It's overwhelming for me, right? So how do we just do that? Is it tough, or how can we just bring this as a skills where we can adapt and then get practice? How do we do that?
Okay. Yeah. So if I have to give my background, one technology to other technology. So what I would say is that there is something like a SMART acronym. So usually I follow these frameworks, right? The SMART acronym, S for specific. I mean, this formula you please use to set your goals and for learning, right? S for smart, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for relevant, and T for time bound. Right? You set some goals. Now, if you are saying that, for example, let's say there's a question that I'm from non-technical background, right? Now, if you want to get into, let's say, cloud, all right? So give time for yourself. Nothing comes overnight, right? Give time to yourself. Let's say 3 months to 6 months, I should be able to get into the cloud technologies. So what is that? I should start off, right? For every technology, Manjula, there is a foundational course. Right? For example, in AZ, there is something like AZ 900, which is Azure Fundamentals. Because I'm from cloud, I'm taking an example like this. For every technology, there are some fundamentals, right? You can spend within 1 to 2 weeks, you will get the fundamentals. Either you get into a self-paced learning or a institute where you walk in physically and then learn from it, right? So get the foundation strong, get the fundamentals strong. Right? And if you see Azure, right? Microsoft has beautiful documentation compared to any other platform or compared to any other online coaching, right? The product itself, right? Product-based company, Microsoft itself has a very good documentation. So grab that, grab that opportunity, grab that documentation. And so in this case, like how it is like in Mahabharata, that Arjuna, who focuses only on that particular spot, right? And nothing else matters to him, right? If you are so much dedicated, sky is the limit. You won't even see, for me, time is money. Time is money for me, right? So I try to delegate as much as possible to others when I'm in this stage, because for me, there is a single goal that within 6 months, I should be professional in the cloud technology. For that, I have to spend at least 10 to 12 hours per day. So it is like you need to engage, again, triple E formula: engage, enable, and empower, right? Engage is nothing but engage with the right stakeholders with who or from whom you'll get the knowledge, right? And you will be enabled with the tools and techniques what you have to actually get through in order to get the knowledge. So I'll give you an example, right? As I mentioned, for cloud, specifically saying, right, for a non-technical background to cloud technology, first get into AZ900. Spend 1 to 2 weeks of time, give AZ900 certification. Then get into AZ104, which is Azure Administrator. Give 1 to 2 months of time, dedicated time. Nothing else should matter. No Instagram, no Facebook, no Twitter, nothing else should matter. You just, like how we prepare for the exam, right? During exams time, our mothers used to call, hey, come and have lunch, come and have dinner. No, I mean, so we have so much focus. So that much level of focus we should have, 10 to 12 to 15 hours per day, right? AZ104, right? Look at the certification path, right? AZ104, then it is an Azure Administrator certification. Then get into AZ305, which is Azure Architect level certification. And Azure is so interesting. Cloud computing itself is so interesting because I'm into both AWS and Azure. Both of them, I love them. All right. So they give $200 of credit for you, right? Where you can open a free account for 1 year. It is valid, right? You can create servers, you can create VMs, you can create your own storage accounts, you can get into this PaaS services and all that. You can experiment. It's like when you start experimenting, it is no less than a Xbox game, I would say. You
Awesome.
will thoroughly enjoy. Yeah. So my take on it is that first identify what are all the emerging technologies, right? Look for that. If you're confused at what are all the emerging technologies, go through Wall Street Journal, and Gartner research documents. And I mean, if you don't want to even go there, just go to LinkedIn and see what kind of job profiles are actually in the market. Try to see which one is more closer to you. Once you identify, let's say cloud, just get into the certification path. What is that structured approach? Then give yourself, okay, 15 days for this certification, 2 months for this certification, 3 months for Azure certificate, expert certificate, and you're done in 6 months.
Thank you
And
so
do some projects. Yeah, whatever.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
sorry.
much. This was really amazing. And I'm just excited to bring you as our mentor exclusively for cloud to just give that number game to say that start with AZ 900, 104, 305. And this is a topic. This is how we are going to mentor. And I'm really excited and welcome you for that session separately. Sridevi, thanks for giving the time for our community to just hold them on a tech front. Thank you so much. So going forward, there is other questions are just coming over here. I just wanted to ask you about, there are a lot more questions. People are just fielding with a question, but anyway, it's okay. Happy to just see that. What are all the hurdles before a women when trying to re-entry to an industry after a career break they are facing? What stops companies from hiring them if they are unskilled?
Okay. That's one of the most common questions which I come across as well, because I take brown bag sessions even internally in our companies. So, okay, so career breaks can happen multiple times, right? For many reasons, right? Especially for women, right? During pregnancy, then during, whenever you have some older parents or you yourself have some health issues, or maybe there's a lot of stress in your life. You just wanted to unwind yourself and then get back and all, right? So not more than 24 hours to come back to normal state. That's my funda, right? If I'm upset, see, even I'm a human, right? I get upset for some things, though I told, right? I have a larger purpose. In front of it, nothing matters, but at times some things will upset us, right? I keep it to myself that not more than 24 hours. So I talk to that person. I say that, hey, these are the things that I felt. Maybe I might be wrong. So what is that? So communication. That's the key for long-lasting relationships, strengthening relationships. I'll tell you a small example, right? When I got a promotion, the back-to-back promotion, that was a back-to-back promotion. I was so excited because at that time I have brought in 40,000 times the performance improvement while I was working at Cisco project. So there was a senior leadership who called out my name on the stage, and I know it was like back to back. I didn't expect that promotion, but so I went with sweets to my mom-in-law. She stays very close by, so I have the family support system in such a way that we won't share the same kitchen, right? We won't stay in the same home, but it is very close by, right? My mom, dad, they stay very close by. My in-laws, they stay very close by. So kids, after they come back from school, they go there. And and my husband, luckily, is a central government employee. He comes by 6:30, he picks up the kids. And then I used to, my working hours are from 11 to 8, and also I used to come back. And we used to share even till 7th class, it's our responsibility. We consciously made an effort to educate our kids. Otherwise, what is the meaning of our degrees? MS, MTechs and post-graduation, what is the meaning if it doesn't come to our kids, betterment, right? But again, the time, right? So again, the delegation of, household, but again, teaching the subjects, right? My husband used to teach social and Hindi because he was very good in storytelling and all. And I used to teach science, maths, and English. And that's how we used to. And I used to, it is like based on our timings, we used to adjust. So till 7th class, we didn't send our kids for outside tuitions. So all the strong foundation has been laid. And during that time, sometimes kids won't have any mood to learn and all. That time, we keep telling our stories, office stories there, and we keep engaging them. We also come up with the frameworks, right? Hey, this Excel templates, you can just say that, you can follow this and all. First, I'll tell in detail a little more. But what I'm trying to say is that, so whenever we get into that, particular mode, come out of that and focus completely in order to build your career and have that main purpose in your mind, and nothing else should matter, right? And so any other point that I've missed or the question?
You just covered saying that keep your focus on and carve out your time and build the system. That's where you're just bringing the clarity for our community members. Please work on it. It's a work in progress always. We will just get upset. It's okay. But your principle of 24 hours making sense.
24 hours should come out of it. Again, back to smile.
When you're coming back, you have a bigger purpose and a goal that shouldn't be matter. So that's I think, beautiful point where we can just do about it, which you have just given a beautiful points for us to carry out. And there is a point towards the certification, which you were saying. There is a question asked: if we only do the certification, when we apply for an organization, they ask for real experience. How do we go about it? Was the question. What's your answer?
Okay, so this is one common scenarios that I come across as well whenever people ask of this. So there are certain institutes in our Hyderabad, like you see Amitpet, Sanjeev Reddy Nagar, and also in Kondapur. There are various institutes where they offer not only the trainings but also the project works. And there are so many companies that are tied up with those institutes, right? So I've seen people getting placed in those organizations and all because they have direct tie-ups with the training institutes. You got what I'm saying? See, now let's say companies like Satyam, NTT, Saxon, or Microsoft, all these, they directly go to campus recruitments, right? For campus recruitments, and that's how they do the group discussions, and they look at the academics, they absorb the college freshers. But now there are certain institutes, please listen carefully. So there are certain institutes who not only offer the trainings, who not only give you the project work, 6 months project work, but also those institute has direct tie-ups with, may not be with giant companies or large MNCs, but they have tie-ups with some companies, some tier 2 companies, right? So whenever you enroll for any program into those institutes, also ask these 2 questions. Do I have a project? Will I get a project? And do you have tie-up with any of companies for recruitment? Initial salary may be little less compared to MNCs. But at this point of time, your experience matters more than your take home, right? Once you have 1 to 2 years of experience, show that, but without losing the focus on continuous learning. That's the key.
Yeah, thank you so much. And giving you the pointers for you, Sridevi, to talk about it next time. Her Second Innings is one such company where we are a diversity partner for many of the MNCs. So people like right from Cisco to Schneider, and every organization comes and does the returnship. So the women who comes to our organization gets the online coaching, assessment, skilling, projects, returnship, all in by sitting in one place. So you can just also add that whenever women
add that. Yeah, sure.
Add that as an example. Thanks for just Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, other question, I'm just picking up the question which is really relevant for us to just talk about it. What are the some skills and qualities you believe which is essential and skill level for professional aiming for leadership role apart from the empathy what you spoke about it? Is it something add on it?
Yeah, sure. So you might have heard of 6 C's of leadership, right? 6 C's. How many of you have heard? Always, as I mentioned, that I remember all those acronyms, right? Like how we used to remember in our college days for lengthy answers and all. We first remember those bullet points and we try to write, elongate that answer and all. So those 6 C's that I believe in the leadership, which we all should have, is that the first and foremost thing is the curiosity to learn and upskill ourselves. We should not find that as a burden or, oh my God, I have to learn now. No, it has to be instinctively coming from your heart, right? So curiosity is the first most important thing, the enthusiasm and curiosity. And then the creative mindset, creative thinking. That's the first outline. I mentioned it as think differently. Creative thinking, right? I'll tell you one example once I tell about all C's, that how that has shaped up my promotion. That, yeah, creative thinking. The third one is competence. So unless you're competent or you're competently advantageous, you won't get up the ladder, corporate ladder. You need to be competent. That means you need to. That's where this learning courses from ISBs, where you have professors from Stanford universities, you have professors from Michigan universities and all. You might not be able to go to US and do studies, but those professors are coming and teaching at ISB, right? Though it's little expensive, but it's worth. Okay. And then, yeah, competence, build that competence. Competence not only on technical skills, competence on leadership skills, competence on soft skills. That's why listen to podcasts. Every time you get a chance, just listen to podcasts. They're amazing, especially interviews with CXOs, all those things, they're very amazing. And then the confidence. Confidence. That is one very important trait that is a differentiator between men and women, right? You might have come across so many men, they know little, but they're very confident. But women know so much, yet, they exhibit less amounts of confidence. So the confidence is the key. Competence, creativity, curiosity, and then effective collaboration without any egos. Don't bring egos onto the table, right? Effective collaboration with your internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, be truthful, be trustworthy, and then a great communication skills. Both soft skills and also written skills, the body language that you use. No ego. Don't bring in any ego. Whatever level you go, So all these things will definitely help to get into a leadership position. So work on them.
Perfect. Your 6 C's is a good way. So people today are able to learn about the 3 fundamental framework what you have just laid out, and then the 6 C's, 3 E's, the SMART. Today is a acronym day where we are just learning more about everything. Thank you so much for just sharing about it. All right. So thank you, Sridevi. The last question probably I'm going to feel today, mom guilt. We always have a mom guilt, right? We are working. We are not able to spend a good time balancing. Of course, you shared a good live example. I take the responsibility till 7 o'clock. Teaching is mine, and we have just distributed that part of it. But not everybody is wanted to do that. Let me put it across. Though they are capable, they don't want to do that. But still, they wanted to make sure they are bringing the quality time to not to have that guilt part of it. Any insights or inputs which you can share?
Right. So, 3 experiences, 3 inputs from my side. Because, see, I'll tell you, when I was working as the first female DBA, I was very proud of myself. But when I started working in shifts for 1.5 years, where my baby was 1 year old, because soon after I came out of, after my maternity leave, I stepped into DBA team. And initial 6 months was a project learning and all that stuff. But by the time my son was 1 year old, I started getting into shifts, right? So 1 week, it used to be morning 6 to 2, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and second week was 2 p.m. to 10, and third week is night shift, right? 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. and then 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. and the last week is general shift, right? So that time you won't believe, I was so guilty. I was so guilty. So the moment, especially after coming from night shift, right, when I see my kids sleeping at 6 a.m., I used to literally hug them and I used to cry. I used to literally cry, saying that I was not, of course, after the pregnancy, after the feeding time, after all those, that stage, then I stepped into, because my husband was very cooperative and my in-laws, my parents, they're all very cooperative. Otherwise, I would not have, I would not have able to do that, right? But after that, when I realized that it's not the amount of time that we spend with the kids, it is the quality of time that we spend with the kids that matters the most, right? So kids from age 3 to 10, right? That's the age where they are very curious. They ask so many questions. And if we cut short them asking the questions at that age, they may become introvert, and the bond between the parents and the children, that will go at a stake, right? So let them ask 100 questions a day, but you should never say that, don't bother me asking those questions, right? So spend the quality time with the kids. Maybe it is 2 to 3 hours per day. I think that is, at least a mother can spend 2 to 3 hours per day, at least. This social media is one of the non-important and non-urgent in the last quadrant for me. I'm not into Insta. I'm not into Facebook. I'm not into Twitter. I'm least interested in knowing what's happening in others' life. I'm least interested in, cluttering my mind, right? I can very well get the inputs, leadership lessons, everything from my YouTube channels, right? I'm onto WhatsApp and I'm onto LinkedIn. If you want anybody to connect with me, only on LinkedIn and this thing, no Insta and all. So I just made one point here, which I thought I will tell you. Yeah. So okay. So the 2 to 3 hours of time at least we should be able to give to the kids out of 24 hours. If a mother says that, hey, I can't even spare 2 to 3 hours, then I think you need to introspect why you're unable to give at least 2 to 3 hours, right? Play with them. Okay. And depending on their age, you teach them. You can teach them, right? Like whether they are first standard, second standard. We used to, Manjula, we used to purchase 2 sets of textbooks, right? So, we used to prepare a little bit and all, not as much time as it is required to teach a 6th class kid in maths and all, right? And it's so fun that we used to work together, right? My son used to, say that, hey, this 7.1 exercise. So we used to have a competition as to who does it first, right? So when the challenge what I had was 11 to 8 used to be my working hours, and kids used to sleep by 9:30. So I used to wait. My day used to start at 4:30 in the morning. 4:30 to 6:30 or 5 to 7 are my study hours with my kids, right? I used to spend those 2 hours. It was tough to wake them up in the morning and all, but it's like slowly, pampering them and getting ready in the morning, and these are the 2 hours. So morning 2 hours are so precious that they keep talking so much, they keep sharing their experiences of their school, and that's where the bonding would happen, right? Engaging them while they play and engaging with them when they study. You have to, as a parent, for me, it is mandatory.
Yes.
Right? You can delegate all the other tasks to domestic help, right? Cleaning, washing, mopping and all. But parenting, you can't, and you should do. And after that, Manjula, I started seeing that they have become self-sufficient of their own planning, the studies and everything and all from 8th standard onwards. And one more thing, very important thing that I realized, and I would advise everybody, is that put them into sports. Put the kids into sports, be it tennis, shuttle, cricket. But if you have to drop them or you seek help, somebody to drop them and pick them up, it is worth. Because at that time, they won't play, right? And so that's how you can very well engage with them. And please don't feel guilty. The more quality time you spend with kids, they will definitely understand.
Super. Thank you so much for just sharing the insight by bringing your own personal journey and then talk about it. And we are literally running, and I'm really excited where people are also keep asking the question and get engaged. Thank you so much. But before ending, a last one thing I wanted to ask. What is the resource you would like to share it with us? And what is the last one liner you would like to share it with our community?
So first I'll share the last one liner. So a lot of people would usually neglect the well-being, the health. So unless we are healthy and happy, we can't make our goal reachable, right? So well-being, you have to give utmost importance. Either it is through diet, the 4 pillars of well-being, right? Diet, exercise, sleep, and managing stress levels. So I work out almost every day for 1 hour. But I usually, when I get bored of walking on treadmill or going on work, I join. I do dance fitness at Cult Fit. They have various programs. Go and explore, and you thoroughly enjoy. You burn 500 calories and 6,000 steps in just 1 hour, and you are energetic all through. You have other health benefits also, right? You will lose your weight, your lipid profile and all is is all apt and good all the time. And so one well-being is something which you have to give the topmost priority, and then whatever we discussed and all will come into picture, right? So that's most important and urgent as well in that category that you should not skip. And then the resources, right? So again, I can very well share a detailed links and all to Manjula from where you can pick. But my advice is that any product or any technology that you want to get into it, first go through the product page itself. If you want to go through Azure, get into Microsoft documentation because they themselves have developed Azure. Right? If you want to get into AWS, get into their documentation, and then go through the videos shared by all those Udemy. All these sites are very good. Udemy, Simplilearn, Coursera, Pluralsight, K21 Academy. K21 Academy, I attended one course where there is it's not just a recorded session, but it is a live interactive session. That's good if you want to ask the questions there. And then read these 5 articles whenever you get a chance, right? To know what's happening outside, right? The Wall Street Journal. In short, we call it as WSJ. Economic Times, Gartner Insights, McKinsey article, and then I think there is one Harvard Review, Harvard Business Review. There is a newsletter which you can subscribe to it. And Harvard Health Review also is there. You can subscribe. It's a free subscription. Get into these 5 articles, go through them on and off, spend at least 7 hours in a week for your upskilling. Minimum 1 hour per day, or if you are unable to spend 1 hour in a day, at least, catch it up, cover it up in the weekends. And least importance to this social media. That's the only thing. You will find plenty of time. And I enjoy some movies, thriller or rom-com movies over the weekend. I don't watch much of TV during a working day. Rather, I spend time in having a good sleep of 7 to 8 hours and good quality time with the family. So weekends is something where my dopamine levels goes up. I enjoy TV and have fun, go outside, meet friends and all.
Lovely. It was really, really amazing, Sridevi, to just hear your journey. And the way we have just spoken is just we have not restricted with a tech or a leadership. It's a holistic way of how we have just need to look into ourselves by keeping ourselves focused on a big vision. What are we looking for? And bringing down in 24 hours, whatever your ego clash, stress level, everything, come back to the original one and find a time and least bother about your social media. Just get back to your own well-being and growth. What a lovely session you did. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, today it's really amazing to have Sridevi with us to share her incredible journey and insights. And her story of breaking barriers and dedication to excellence has really inspired all of us. Thank you, Sridevi, for your wonderful session. And thank you, audience, for being with us with active participation. And I couldn't just cover a lot of questions, but some of them I picked up the gist and then figured out. And as I was talking about, Sridevi is going to be with us as a mentor as well, exclusively for a cloud vertical. Just join our mentor session and looking forward to just bring her to an exclusive way for you to handle and take you to the next level. Thank you everyone from our team who's behind the scene to make this event possible. Once again, stay tuned and sign up with our subsequent session. Looking forward to have you again, Sridevi. Once again, thank you.
You're my pleasure. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Manjula.
Have a great day, team. Thank you.